UFC 317 weigh-ins are in the books. The fighters made weight. The championship fights are official. It is now time for our best bets, predictions, and breakdowns for the main card for UFC 317. We're going to start off with the curtain jerker of the pay-per-view, Peyton Talbot taking on Felipe Lima. 9-1 versus 14-1. Peyton Talbot, a very, very interesting turnaround. He was a minus 1,500 favorite last time we saw him to now he's a plus 150 underdog. Him and Lipe both very young, up and coming prospects. Talbot was at one point considered maybe the next, I don't want to say big thing. That's a very overused phrase, but it looked like he could be the next standout guy. Very tall for the division as well. Very lengthy. 40. You can see the length advantage, 70.5-inch reach, 40 leg reach, 5'10" at 145. You know what? I'm gonna actually think Talbot's gonna find a way to pull this one off. He was very, very good in earnest. That earned that minus 1,500 favorite for a reason. Now, don't get me wrong. Felipe is also very, very good himself. Or Felipe is, honestly, this is very close, and I understand the odds, but I do think Talbot has just a little bit extra for him. I think he'll have a little bit of an advantage on the feet. I think he'll be able to control the distance. I think he's going to control this fight. I think that loss is going to help him, propel him, make him better moving forward. I think he's going to control the fight. So we're going to take that plus 150. So we're going to take Talbot to win, and we're just going to take the money line because when we get plus odds for a fighter, we think we're going to win. We're going to go ahead and take that. However, I do understand those who are reluctant to bet on him after losing is a minus 1,500 favorite. That's a really hard one to come back from, but I'm gonna lean with him. If not, I think there's a good chance that you could maybe look at some of the significant strike numbers. But let's go ahead and move up to Beneil Dariush versus Hanato Moicano, number 11 versus number 9. Moicano coming off that 24-hour notice fight against Islam Makhachev, and then Dariush coming off a couple of really rough losses as well. Two top 11 ranked guys. I'm leaning towards Mike Moicano on this one. I think Dariush, this was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I think he'd be the favorite. I think he'd be able to win comfortably, but those losses are starting to get rough. I mean, got knocked out in back-to-back fights, if I'm not mistaken, as well, including that tough one to Charles Oliveira in the first round. He's just, I really do worry that we are at the point with his career where it starts to get downhill, and it gets downhill kinda ugly on top of it as well, if that makes sense. I mean, he lost to Armin by TKO, lost to Charles Oliveira. Obviously, the Moicano bout last time was canceled because Moicano had to fight Islam on short notice. He did have the win over Gamrot, but that was in 2022. He had back-to-back losses in 2023. First time seeing him back. I'm hoping the time off maybe helped kinda recover a little bit, but he is an older fighter. I think the oldest one on the card, if I'm not mistaken. So we're gonna take Moicano. I'm just gonna take the money line with him as well, considering if I'm not mistaken, I believe it is really close. Yeah, -1, 115, -105, very, very close. So we're gonna go ahead and take Moicano with the money line and to win. I don't I anticipate this one going the distance. Maybe Moicano could pull something off late, but we're not gonna touch the over/under rounds on this one because it's set at 2.5, where that's a little bit risky with this fight. So we're just gonna take Moicano to take the win on this one. I think I fear that Dariush is kind of on the back end where some of these losses could get a little ugly, and you look at just some of the height numbers, reach numbers, they're very, very identical. Both very good fighters. I think Moicano's just got a little bit more uphill momentum right now. I don't take too much out of his last loss to Islam. Most people are losing to Islam Makhachev with 3 months of preparation, let alone 3 seconds. So we're gonna move now to the feature fight. A little bit of a last minute one. It just set up a couple of weeks ago with Brandon Royval taking off on Joshua Van. Absolute fireworks in the flyweight division. Both coming off wins. Joshua Van with a huge win at UFC 316. Really kind of coming on strong, that late finish, putting himself on the map. So this one's really exciting. I think this is a very good feature fight. I think if this one was like a curtain jerker, that's an absolutely loaded event. If you have him in a curtain jerker spot, it's tough because the odds actually at Joshua Van is a semi-comfortable favorite at one point, which I thought was very, very interesting. I don't know if I don't know about that one, honestly, and he's still the favorite. Like, if we take a quick look at it, -102, -118, it is still very, very close. I'm gonna still stick with Royval on this one. I think Brandon Royval is gonna control the distance. I think his stand-up is still very clean. He's a little taller, as we can see, 4 inches taller, longer reach, longer leg reach. Van is a tornado. When he comes forward, he throws strikes and bunches. He's got good takedown defense. Both 14-2, a very good record. He might be the next guy at flyweight and I know that division needs new fresh blood challengers. I mean, Pantoja's basically run Ramshop over that division for the last handful of years. I think Royval is going to control the distance. I think he's going to He's going to be able to pop him just a couple of more times, be able to hold him just at the edge of his punches, control the distance. I think Van will have some blitzing moments. He might even win a round due to a knockdown or something like that. I think Royval's just going to find a way to control it. It's a very close fight. It's a short notice one. I'm going to give the edge to Royval with a little bit more experience. The interesting note on this one is for significant strikes, Joshua Van's over under set at 97.5. We're going to take the under on that one because I think even if he wins, I don't think he's going to be landing 100 plus significant strikes. I think Royval's defense is going to hold up. He's going to keep him at bay. And if his defense doesn't hold up, Van's going to get him out of there much before they get to that many strikes. So we're going to take the under on 97.5 significant strikes. And we're going to take Royval to win, but I think this one's very, very close. I'm taking Royval to win, but like not enough to even bet those odds that are now really, really close. But I like Royval to take the win in a very close, what might just end up being fight of the night. Let's move now to the co-main event in the aforementioned Alexandre Pantoja taking on Kai Kara France for the bantamweight title. The second time they have fought, they fought in the Ultimate Fighter House many, many moons ago. Since then, Kai Kara France has kind of developed into, I don't want to say the knockout artist of the division, but he does have some very good knockouts, and Pantoja is making a case for the GOAT of the flyweight division. Still has a ways to go, but he's making his case right now. He's actively going on an absolute tear. The odds are heavily in the favor of Pantoja, as they should be. He's been running the division. He has the advantage here with height. The reach advantage goes to Kai Kara France. On the feet, I expect Kai Kara France to. I expect him to really try and push the pace, but I do think all Pantoja has to do is land one takedown, something that he has in his back pocket. Kai Kara France gets just a touch too aggressive, just maybe one too many punches on the combination. Pantoja dips under, takes him down, and that changes the whole trajectory of the fight. I also think Pantoja's stand-up, he can sometimes put himself into the fire. Sometimes he's willing to take one to get what he wants. I don't know if Kai Kara France has that. We talked about his ability to knock people out. It's not usually that one counter shot stunning. It's like at the tail end of a combination, a tail end of a step through, like one step through, then a huge right hand or a huge left after. If he catches Pantoja, it will shake the fight up, but I don't know if it's his stopping power. I don't know if that's going to be he's going to be able to land the type of shot that will stop Pantoja. So we're going to take Pantoja to win. What I will say is the over-under is for his takedowns set at 2.5. We're actually going to go ahead and take the over. I do think Pantoja is going to get probably 3 takedowns that'll probably secure in the first three of the first 4 rounds, give or take. Maybe he gets 2 of them in one of the rounds after Kai Kara France is pushing forward. So we're going to take his over 2.5 at -110 for takedowns. I think if on the feet at any point he gets testy, I think that's when he's going to shoot. We're going to see he's going to really test Kai Kara France's takedown defense and his ability to chain those takedown defenses. Not just stop one, but stop another. Land shots, get out of the clinch, get off the cage. We saw Pantoja do it in his last fight. We've seen him do it basically throughout his entire reign. So even if you stop one, he's going to keep coming. He's got a little bit of not quite Marab in him, but he's got some of that tendency to have chaining together those takedowns. So we're going to take Pantoja to win, and we're going to go over 2.5 takedowns on this one as well. Next up, that is going to take us into the main event of International Fight Week. Ilia Topuria stepping up from 145 to 155 to take on Charles Oliveira, 16-0 versus 35-10. Both former champions. Topuria's debut in the division, well, not his debut. He did have one other fight at 155, but is taking on the chance to get his second belt. The odds on this one are wild, -440 to +350. I think they've even shifted a little bit since then. This is a very interesting fight because on paper, Charles gets hurt in a lot of his fights. He gets dropped almost every fight, it feels like. But then he comes back. Topuria, he's got dynamite in his hands. He's got the touch of death at 145 that we hadn't seen since Conor McGregor. He put down Max Holloway, who had arguably the best chin in the sport up until that point. Alexander Volkanovski, he put down 2 of the absolute legends, probably 2 of the 3 best fighters in that division's history in back-to-back fights. He is technically sound. He throws punches with such sting on them. At the end, he's such a good wrestler. They forget he's a grappling background that turned into a dynamite boxer. He's technically sound. He throws with such ill intentions. It's hard to get him down. I don't think Charles is going to be able to just shoot a double leg on him. So in theory, incredible power puncher against a guy who gets dropped in every fight. Someone who has some of the most lethal hooks in the game that just dropped 2 legends back to back against Oliveira, who has deficiencies in his hook defense is what we will call it. We saw Chandler's got him with hooks. We saw Dustin Poirier. That's kind of the weak spot, is those hooks that come and get him on the tail end of a combination. What's weird about this fight is it does also have a very weird, almost Connor, Nate Diaz won field two. Obviously, that's a much different thing since Connor jumped up to 170 for that one, came in very fat heavy, was not training as well as we've now seen in the years since then that he likes to have a good time. So that does give me cause to pause. Let's say Topuria puts it on Charles early, but like the boogeyman, he is still there and he's still coming. Does Topuria maybe that extra weight? Does that change things for it? Does that throw the fight off? Is his cardio still up to snuff? What happens when that guy and you crack him so many times if he doesn't die? If he's still there, if that zombie is still charging after you, that will wear you down. I will say both these guys are such known finishers, two of the most prolific finishers in the history of the game in these lower weight classes. So what we're going to do is the over-under set at 1.5 rounds. What's interesting is you can get an alternate of under 2.5 rounds for -175, and that's what we're going to take because I don't want it to be round two at like the 237 mark, and then someone gets dropped and it ends at like 222, and I lose the under at that point. You know, what I mean, that's a little bit close, but I do think this will get done in the first 3 rounds. So I'm going to take under 2.5 at -175. Everything I just laid out, I still am gonna go with Topuria. I just think I think he's gonna crack Charles, and he's gonna be able to put it on him. We saw against Ryan Hall, a guy who's so dangerous on the ground. He was ability to not get caught in that game, the ability to not fall into the guard, to drop him, move around the guard, pass the guard, land the strikes, bring him back up. I think he's gonna find a way to do the same with Charles. I think he'll have to drop him 2, 3 times maybe. It's gonna be ugly, and if he's gonna have to keep his back off the cage. If Charles can just lean on him against the cage, that's gonna make it difficult. Charles is gonna have to he might have to just bite down on that mouthpiece, high guard, the classic Muay Thai style, like bouncing that front leg, charging forward. He's gonna have to eat some probably to get in there. Tapiria's gonna have the speed advantage, the evasiveness advantage. There's a lot of things that Charles is gonna have to do. He has a very real shot to winning. There's a very clear path, but unfortunately, that path is littered with landmines, bear traps, tornadoes, hurricanes, everything in between that he's gonna have to eat to get it. But I'm still gonna take Topuria in this one. I think Charles is gonna make it very competitive. If you want to make a parlay of this, you would be looking at plus 2490 odds. So that's you want to parlay those all together, all the power to you. What I will say is if you do want to make a parlay, pick Ilia Topuria at just the money line at -440 for the parlay. So let's say you already hit the first four, you're getting to that last leg. Then you could truly hedge your bet by betting on Charles Oliveira, who's such a massive underdog. Say you have $100 if he on the line if Topuria wins. Bet like you could bet like $30 on Charles or whatever the number is. I don't have the math off the top of my head. Whatever it is to get a $100 win off that, so your bet is hedged. You're getting money regardless. So I think that's a smart thing to do is put it to Topuria money line at the back end of a parlay because if you get to that point, you can really hedge your bet ahead of time. But that's what we're looking at so far. So just to recap the winners, we got Ilia Topuria. We have winning, and we think it's going to be under 2.5. Alexandre Pantoja, and we think he's going to get over 2.5 takedowns. We're going to take Brandon Royval, and we think this one's going to be under 97.5 strikes, significant strikes for Joshua Van. We got Hanato Moicano, we're going to take, and we're just going to take the money line. And Peyton Talbot, we are also going to take the money line. So this one, I got 4 out of 5 from the red corners, what it looks like. So that's a little bit iffy. I don't know if I love that, but we've had a overall relatively been strong so far throughout this year with these UFC pay-per-views up until last week. Last week was rough, went 2-3. Not last week, last one at UFC 316. Overall, we are still at about a 4-1 clip, give or take. So 3-1 clip. So we're doing pretty positive. We're trying to get back on the horse this week. Let us know down below what bets and who you are taking and who you think is going to win in this main event, as well as the rest of the fight card. We appreciate you so much for joining us. We'll definitely have a breakdown afterwards of the winners, the recap of the event, and who some of the main key components will be fighting next. But we will see you all again next time.